Price is what you pay, value is what you get. This is probably one of the most important principles that you will want to learn in your journey as a real estate sales professional. And I think that most newer real estate agents, as they get into this business, don't understand this concept, and it hurts them when they go out there and try to acquire clients. And so I'm going to really break this down for you so that you can see something maybe for the very first time. This might challenge your current worldview. You might look at what I'm going to walk you through today and say, oh, no way. Brandon, that's malarkey. That is BS. And then after you look at it again, you start to question for the very first time your own worldview and biases. You'll make the decision of that. All right, so let's get into this. So I'll share my screen and we'll rock and roll. So here we go. All right, so number one, the first thing that we have to look at is you most likely sell the way that you buy. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, if you are the type of consumer, right? So we're not talking about the sales person here. We're talking about you, the consumer, not you as the salesperson. You as the consumer, when you go out there and purchase things, if you are always looking for, the lowest price, the bargain, that is most likely how you're going to sell. And you most likely have clients who ask you to discount your commission. And as a result of how you buy, it's most likely, not every time, but it's very, very, very likely that most of your listings that you take are at a discounted commission, where you'd like to charge this, but based on your own worldview, when someone says, well, hey, can you do it for any less? The buyer in you says, well, man, that's kind of how I buy. I mean, you're not saying this consciously, of course, but you say to yourself unconsciously or subconsciously rather, that's how I buy. And so kind of makes sense that this person is asking me to lower my price and discount this. And so as a result, most of your listings are taken at a discounted rate. If you're the type of buyer who has to constantly think it over because you can't make a decision one way or another, you just have a foggy mind, you just can't make a decision. We know most of the time when you tell a salesperson, hey, I got to think it over, it really just means what? It just means no in disguise. You just didn't have the guts or the courage to tell that salesperson the truth. So as a result, what does that mean? That at the end of your listing presentations, you probably get a lot of sellers who tell you they need to think it over, and then you never hear from them again. That's most likely what happens to you because you accept think it over as a rational response because that's what you do to salespeople. Rather than let on and tell the salesperson the actual truth of like, hey, this just isn't a good fit. I'm going to do business with somebody else. Rather than have a real, authentic, adult to adult conversation, we hide behind, well, yeah, you know what? Everything looks great. You did a great job. This looks we love this. We just need some time to think it over and then we'll get back to you. And what they really mean is, hey, we have no interest in doing this whatsoever. We just don't want to deal in that conversation with you. We're not willing to deal in the conflict. Go away. And when I tell you, you'll hear from us next week, what I really mean is you're never going to hear from me again. That's the truth. And if you look at all the times that you get to think it overs, you'll say to yourself, holy moly, that is exactly what's happening to me. You go and give a listing presentation, right? You go give a listing presentation. You think it goes great. The prospect is giving you all types of words of affirmation. Oh, I love that you do that. Oh my gosh, that's great that you do this. Wow, you really know your stuff. And this whole time you're saying, oh, I got a hot one here. And at the end of it, when you ask them to make a decision, because that's what you agreed to at the beginning of the presentation, right? Wink, wink. They say, yeah, everything looks great. We're excited. We just need to think it over, and then we will get back to you. We'll get back to you, right? And what happens most of the time? You never hear from them again. You call them, you follow up just like they've asked you to do, and they send you to what? Voicemail jail. And they never return your phone calls. They duck you forever. And you say, what did I do wrong? What's happening here? Well, it's mostly because, again, you sell the way that you purchase. Well, why does that actually matter? Because when we look at this concept of price is what you pay, value is what you get, this is what's getting in the way of you communicating actual value to a client so that they can see it, feel it. And you are winning business based on value, not price. So let me give you another concept to help explain this. Oftentimes, I will hear real estate agents talk about this is what really, really, really hurts them. They'll talk about in different forums, and I'll have agents even bring this up in our coaching community all the time. Should I go with company X or should I go with company Y? And they're referring to anything, a CRM or a lead platform, a data provider, a dialer, et cetera, et cetera. And oftentimes, I'm not even kidding you, the conversation with real estate agents who literally make a living selling nothing tangible, they sell value, that's what they're supposed to do. When it comes to their own purchasing decisions, they totally go blank here. Here's what they do. So they say, okay, should I go with company X or should I go with company Y? And in this case, we'll just say it's a lead provider. And the question, watch, I'm going to challenge your worldview. All of the comments, all of the entire discussion is simply around the price. What does it cost? And there's all these comments back and forth around these two things. Well, what does it cost? And how much does it cost? Well, company X is double than company Y. And, I'm paying a lot less than that. And I can't believe you're paying that. And I can't believe they're asking me to pay this. That's crazy. I can't believe there's agents that pay that. Now, let's talk about what is really going on here. This is why most new real estate agents have a very, very difficult time winning listings. They go up into a listing appointment and they have a seller to say, well, I've talked to another agent who says they can do it for less. They get absolutely destroyed on that all day, every day because of this very concept. Let me explain to you what's going on here. All these agents that are all focused on price and cost and all these different things, they're making a massive, massive assumption that X and Y equal the same. So therefore, if these are the same, then whatever one cost the least is the clear winner. That's their rationale. That is their worldview. That's how they've consumed things their entire lives without even knowing it. They assume that the solution, X and Y, that the result is the same. So therefore, they don't consciously think about this. Don't worry, just stick with me on this. You're going to say, oh my gosh, that's the first time I've recognized that behavior. They assume that in this conversation, when they say which one is better, remember, price is what you pay, value is what you get, right? And all the agents talk about price. What often never comes up is which one of these, okay, so as the drawing goes down, which one of these gets the better result? Yeah? Watch. My question for you, as it should be for you when you're asking this to your clients in this decision-making process as you're consuming things, is what is more important to you? What's more important? What you pay or getting a better result? Which is more important to you? In other words, are you more concerned with paying the least amount of money? Okay, are you more concerned with paying the least or getting the best? That's the discussion. So let me explain to you exactly what I mean. Let's get real literal for some of you that are just like, I don't get it. I still don't get it. All right, let me explain. So going back to this company X, company Y. Okay, company X charges $500 per month. Company Y charges half, $250 a month. This is what the agents were talking about before. Oh my gosh, I can't believe company X charges so much money. And they just look at the price and they make the decision, well, it's less money, so that's more. I'm going to go to company X or company Y. They charge a lot less than company X. Okay, let's go back to the question. Are you looking to pay the least or get the best results? Let me explain. You see, with company X, based on, remember, these are lead providers as an example. With company X, you're able to get double the amount of leads. We'll just say 100 leads per month. With company Y, you only get 50 leads per month. With company X, you get 10 listing appointments per month. And with company Y, you get 5 listing appointments per month. You can see where I'm going with this, yeah? Now you start to say, ooh, now you start to, for the very first time, start to question the dollar amounts here. You say, interesting. If, like, you've heard it a million times before, you get what you, come on, say it. You get what you pay for, yeah? Is there ever been a time where you have gone the cheap route and regretted it? If it has ever happened to you, then you know that this is potentially what's happening here. So if by paying company X $500 per month, you get 10 listing appointments per month, and as a result, you get 5 listings per month. And here with this company, you get 2 per month. And I ask you the same question. If this, my friend, is the result, okay, now we're really talking. If this is the result, and I said, okay, here are your options, okay? You got 2 options here. You can get 5 listings a month or 2 listings a month. And if you choose option A over option B, this is going to cost you $500 a month. If you choose option B, this is going to cost you $250 a month. Which decision would you make 100% of the time? Go ahead, be honest. You'd all pick option A. We'd all pick option A. Because if we did the math, right? If we said, okay, I take 5 listings a month, maybe I don't sell all 5. Maybe I sell, I sell 3 here. I sell 3. And over here, I only sell 1 of these. You don't sell every listing you take, okay? Let's be honest. And let's just say your average commission, just for the sake of this video, is $10,000. So here, you make $30,000 per month. And over here, you make $10,000 per month. And over here, as a result, this cost you an additional $250 per month. That was the difference. That's the diff, right? Because this one cost you $500, this one cost you $250. For an additional $250 per month, is that investment worth making an additional $20,000 per month? Or AKA, if we're just being really literal, you still don't get it, the value. And every single one of you would say, dude, that's an absolute no-brainer. But that's not how we think, because we just think about, okay, well, how much am I parting ways with? How much is leaving my wallet? Not what I actually get in return. So now the same thing. So the agents that don't understand this concept have a super difficult time going on listing presentations where their commission is being challenged because sellers saying, well, can you do it for less? I've met with other agents who have done it for less. And this same agent who has a difficult time with this concept competes on price. They think that they're going to win the business based on what they charge. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. They think I'm going to win the business because this person who's brought up price, this being the seller, and because my worldview is that I'm price conscious. That's how I go into all my decisions. Which one costs the least? That's my perceived value. My perceived value is the one that costs the least. Remember, you can't have it both ways. You can't go back now and argue it. But I just showed you what you weren't thinking about, okay? Most of you, if you're being really honest, and I have all the these forums to prove it. You're just thinking about the price. So when a seller says the same thing to you, you then try to compete on price. And as a result, you lose on price because there's always someone who can do it cheaper. And people aren't listing, believe me when I tell you this. Sellers aren't listing homes based on what the agent charges. Now, you may believe that because of your own bias towards this concept. You say, no, Brandon, you're wrong. You're wrong. I talk to sellers all the time who say, I went with agent B because they charged less than what you charged. That's what they said. What they mean is when they interviewed you and you charged X percent, let's just say 2X's, and they interviewed the other agent who charged Y percent, they didn't see you didn't do a good enough job providing value, so it didn't make sense for them to pay more because they looked at both of you when they interviewed you both and they say, okay, they're about the same. So if they're about the same, then it makes sense to just pay less. And because most agents don't have they're not good at providing value, the sellers have now been conditioned to look for the agent who charges the least. And we did it to them because we all come across the same. And so therefore, let's bring this all together now. Most sellers in the marketplace, let's be really honest. If all these X's are agents in the marketplace, the sellers, okay, when they look at this, they look at all these agents and they believe that all these agents are the same. That's what they believe. And most of the time, we prove them right. How? Because we go to the listing appointment and we say the same shit every time. I've been in business for this long. I'm going to do Facebook ads. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And the seller says, okay, well, geez, that's exactly what Johnny said he was going to do. That's exactly what Nancy said she was going to do. You charge 6%. Johnny is going to do it for 4.5%. And I talked to this other Betty. You're doing the same thing Betty's doing, and Betty's only charging me 4%. And hell, now let's throw in, geez, I talked to this flat fee company, and they're going to do the whole thing for $1,000. Why in the world would I pay you any money there, Bob? And you charge 6%? And the whole time you're thinking to yourself, gosh, they're right. How am I going to win this? You don't understand that how to compete on price. You don't understand how to deliver value. You don't know how to compete on value, rather. You only understand this price thing because it's how you consume. So what's the difference? What's the truth? Let me explain. If we look at all these agents again, okay, here's the truth. Up here was the seller's perception. That was their perception. Just if we go back to the beginning of the video, your perception of both of these companies was that, well, geez, why would I pay company X double the amount of company Y? They're both do about the same thing. Doesn't make any sense. I'll just go for the cheaper one. Well, that's what the consumer thinks of you. That's what the seller thinks of you. So that's why you have a tough time charging a high fee and being worth it. However, let me explain the truth. Here's the truth. Is it not true that every single one of these agents has a different result? Every single one of them. Well, what do you mean, Brandon? I don't know if I agree with that or not yet. Okay, well, let me go a little bit further. If we were to look up, we would say, okay, let's just get all these agents, let's get all their stats, and let's go put all these into the MLS, and let's look at all their list, which is sold price ratio. Ah, wow, Brandon. I never thought about it that way. Would it be fair to say that every single one of these agents would have a different percentage. And if we're being honest, you would say 100% yes. Not one of them would have the exact same list to sold price ratio. This is the result that someone is hiring you for, yeah? That's the result. So let's put it all together. In other words, if there's all these agents in the market, okay, we'll just use 4. And this agent has, we'll just say a 97% list to sold price ratio. This one has an 89% list to sold price ratio. And I've pulled up the MLS multiple times on the channel and shown you real examples of listings that have sold. And they all have different list to sold price ratios, right? And this agent has 102%. And this agent has a 93%. And if we're looking at a $500,000 home, well, let's just look and see what this means. Let's grab the old trusty calculator because I'm not smart enough to do this off the top of my head. You probably are a lot smarter than I am. And we say, okay, if I list this property at 500K, if I list it at 500K, well, first agent, right, times 97% would get me, so this agent would get me how much? Okay, they would get me $485,000. This agent, they'd give me 89%, right? So 500,000 times 89, 500,000 times 89%. They would get me, this is the result they would produce on average, 445,000. This agent at 93%, 500K times 93%, they'd get me 465. And then this agent, who averages 102% list to sold price ratio, 500,000, 500K times 102% would get me 510,000. Okay, so far so good, yeah? So we have to say, okay, well, how much do all of these agents charge? Because price is what you pay, value is what you get. So without having to do all the math, you can clearly see, okay, well, if this agent right here, we'll say right here, and they charge 6%, and this agent, we'll just say this agent charges, this is a flat fee. We'll just say this person's the $1,000 agent or flat fee agent. And this person charges 4%. And this person charges 5%. Do the math. Do the math. Yeah? 510,000 times 6% here minus 30K, which would be, remember, the price. This is the price. What would that equal? So 510 minus what it costs them to get that result, that'd be what? 480,000. Well, okay, so, and if they went to the lowest one, this one at 89%, 89%, this one cost them, we subtract out $1,000, right? So 445 minus just $1,000 leaves them with 444. So let's just take the top one and the bottom one, and let's just compare. So the best one with the most value, the net result the seller gets is 480. It was the most expensive. This agent charged the most. And then the worst result was, what did we say? 444. This person charged the least. They just charged $1,000. The question, you guys, come on. Which one is better for the seller? Which one did they net more money? Oh, that's right. This one. I show you this so that you can raise your level of awareness that a truth that I don't think any person could argue is that just because something is less expensive doesn't automatically mean that it's better. I mean, let's be real honest. There are plenty of times in your life where you've proven that concept to be true. Now, to be fair, there's also been times where you've been able to pay less for something and you've gotten it to be better. I'm not naive to that truth either. But it's not a direct correlation. And so I bring this awareness to you so that as you consume things, that A, you look at something, okay, well, if this is what something costs me, that's one factor. That's not the whole factor. I have to look at how much does this cost versus what does it do for me? What is the result that I get? And I have to weigh both. That's the point of this video. I have to weigh both in my decision. If something is more expensive and I get twice, 3, 4, 5 times the result, maybe it's justified. Maybe it's worth it. I have to take the value into the equation as well, not just the cost. The same way you have to take this into consideration in your listing appointment when you're talking with your prospective clients. Mr. and Mrs. Client, if your goal is to pay the least in commission, I might not be your guy. But if you're looking for an agent to get you the best result, then perhaps there's something for us to talk about. Right? I know a lot of agents, Mr. and Mrs. Client. This is me pulling the pin. This is me laying on their grenade. This is me bringing up something that I know is going to come up anyways. I know a lot of agents that charge a lot less money than me. Yet, not only are my clients happy, but they continue to refer me to people that they care about, knowing very well that they can get an agent that charges less than me. Why in the world would they do that? And the seller sits back and scratches their head. Probably because you get better results. That's it.